Welcome, everyone, to another session of the Beattys. We're just another day at the office. I know it's hard work, but somebody's got to do it. And we have more inventory boxes to be filled. The Humpies that still need some of the smaller sizes, and that's what we're working on today. Hi there, I'm Al Beatty, and Gretchen's already hard at work over here. Want to look around the corner and say hi? Yep.
Hi.
Hey there. Hi, it is. And what we're going to do is go to our side by side. That's my focus fly, and that's Gretchen's fly. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put them together. I'm going to get over to the materials, and I got over in front of my tying desk. Let me get it out here. Some moose hair. And I'll just leave that over there so I can just keep cutting off of it. This is a work day, not trying to show everybody how to tie a pattern or do a bunch of teaching. We're working, filling the inventory boxes. And one of the things that I need to do is I'll go back to this camera, and I'm going to be using some static guard. It's really dry and cold here in the Rocky Mountain West. And so I'm just rubbing some of the dryer pad on me, and I've already used the spray can to spray down the materials. So that should keep some of the static electricity down, but I'll keep applying as I need. And let's see, back at the materials area, I have winging material of elk, material for the hump, and in the tail will be moose body here, and I'll just move that back over to the vise and leave it there.
And I'm just finishing my 14s while he starts the 16s. I've got two more to do, and then I'll be ready to jump in on the 16s.
What I do is I tie the wings, tail, and hump, and then Gretchen stands the wings up and divides them and wraps the hackle. Looks like I got a phone call coming in from somebody. Oh, it's Eric. Hey, Eric.
Hope I'm not calling too early after wild night. I'm sure you had last night.
Oh, yeah. You did better than I did. We were in bed by 10. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fine. Yep, another hour. I'm on there right now, but we're recording a Beattys at work right now. Anytime, I set it up for all day that works at 11 o'clock. I'll see you at 11 o'clock online. Sounds good, buddy. Goodbye. All right. Well, that was Eric. He's going to join us at 11.
Okay.
Which is about an hour from now.
Perfect.
That will give us time to get this session of Beattys at work done. Let me put my microphone back on. Okay, folks, sorry, but when you're at work, you sometimes receive phone calls from people, customers and other people, and this happens to be a good friend and fellow fly tyer, and he'll probably be talking with us about his schedule for presentations on upcoming Beattys Fly Tying Friday, which we do every Friday except next Friday, this coming Friday, which happens to be the date of the Boise, Idaho fly fishing show. Anyway, I'm going to start my thread about a third back from the hook eye and wrap to the end of the shank. And I'll come back about halfway and stop. Trim off the waist. And I'm just going to cut some of this moose off of here to make a tail. Hope that I got enough static guard sprayed on it so it doesn't. And we'll just get these really longest fibers right here, and then we'll get rid of all the waste right there. When I switched to the 6/0 thread, Gretchen, that made the bodies better, didn't it, than the ones I did with the floss?
These are good.
All right, good. I was trying to cut corners and forgot just what I use for on my materials. And anyway,
I started complaining.
and she told me that I wasn't doing a good job, and so I had to fix it. I mean, because this is a production line, and what one person does on the upstream side of production can sure affect the downstream side of production. And that was happening, and so we fixed it.
Yeah, what it caused was just a little crowding up here at the front, so I was having difficulty getting the.
I didn't leave her enough
handle.
space to keep from crowding the hook eye, is what it boils down to. Because actually, no matter where you make a mistake on the fly, it all comes together at the head.
That's right. I mean, I managed, but they weren't my favorite. I get pretty fussy about the hackle. Whoops, I just kind of messed up
Yeah,
that.
she's awful good at wrapping hackle. I mean, I'm pretty good at it too. I've done it a lot, but boy, I would say in the many years that we tied side by side as commercial tires for a living, that I would guess that she probably hackled several thousand dozen more than I did. Okay.
And as a consequence, I'm not as good at putting the hump on.
Yeah, so we each do our part, which when you're doing production line work, you try to make the production line just as well. The production line should be just as efficient as possible. All right, I got the trash out of there.
I just finished posting those wings. I think they look pretty good. So now I'm using a combination of brown and grizzly. I always check a little bit because even though these are good feathers, I'm not using the top quality. I'm using a commercial grade of whiting. And sometimes they're a little Christmas tree shaped, so I have to check the size as I work down towards the tip of the feather to make sure it hasn't gotten too small. But this one seems to be pretty good so far, so.
Okay, I've added wings to the tail, and I allow the waste from the wings to make just an awful hump over the top of the tail. That's because what I'm going to do is allow the waste from the tail and the wing to help me make part of the hump rather than trying to make the complete hump out of the third bundle of hair that I tie on the hook. Now I'm going to leave this hanging just about in the center. But first I need to come from this center point, come around in front of my wing and back to that point right there. What that does is it makes my wing stay up on top, and it helps stretch and divide and keep from crowding the head and all that stuff. But anyhow, let's get back here. And I'm going to get back over in this. This is the winging material. It's from the backbone of the elk, and it doesn't show as well color-wise as it does on a white-tailed deer. That said, this is belly hair, and it's, if nothing else, you can feel it, and it feels very soft, where this feels coarse and stiff. Anyway, so we'll just take a small bundle of this softer stuff that we're going to turn into hair for the hump and cut it from the hide. We'll join you back over here at the vise, and I'm just going to get rid of all the short hairs and the fuzz. And one of the things on tying the hump, you don't have to worry about layers 1, 2, and all that junk. It's just a bundle of hair that it's going to be the right size. And I think I got a few too many hairs for the 16.
I think I might have gotten a little bit of glue in the eye, so I'm taking a short piece of hackle and just running it through the eye. I just grab something out of my trash bin when I think I need to do that, so.
Yeah, if it's on the first fly and there's no trash in the bin, you've got a problem. But that doesn't happen very often.
Anyway, I have finished the 14 humpies, and I'm going to be putting away my 14 hackle and getting out some 16 hackle.
And I'm pulling the hump over on this first number 16 that I'm doing for Gretchen, the body. And one of the things, you notice that I was pushing at the back of the hump there. You can kind of pull this fairly tight, but it's when you push from the back and stroke forward from the very back that it really tightens up that hair right there. I got one hair out of line right there.
As I tie, I often will size more hackle and get more hackle than I need. And so I have these little bins like this that I just put the extra hackle in. So this is my size 16 bin. And you can see that I've got hackle in there. So we'll just work out of that.
I'm going to trim this off a lot longer than most people would think you want because Gretchen's going to incorporate the base or the waist ends of the hump into the base of the wings. And I'll just wrap a couple of turns of thread in front there, grab a half hitch tool and finish this off.
This is kind of a kludge here. I better straighten these out a little bit. But there's a couple of really nice long ones.
All right, that looks pretty good.
I'm going to check these for size to just make sure when I sized them originally, I did a good job.
I'm just going to set these up on the computer, Gretchen.
Okay.
You've got some stuff sitting down there with the live stream going out to Facebook and everything.
That looks good. This one almost looks like it's either a variant of some sort or it's a Cree. I don't know.
And
Look at
again, I'm just
that.
repeating the same process I did before.
Nice.
1/3 back from the hook eye,
Nice.
wrapping to the bend and halfway back. Okay, I trimmed off some moose and it happened to be a spot where there's a whole bunch of white and I don't want that. So if I can't salvage the black out of that, I'll just have to get another bundle. Well, we'll see if that stacks up and makes a tail or not. Okay, well, I've got a couple of white fibers in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the tail on and I'll show you a little trick. I don't normally do that, but I happen to be in a situation where I need to fix that tail up just a little bit. It's got some white fibers in it. So I want you to notice that I'm not wrapping all the way to the end of the shank. That's because I'm going to take a Sharpie and color the tail fibers.
It's a good thing I checked these because that one right there is an 18. Oh, I'll set it aside.
And now that those tail fibers have been cut or colored, then I'll just finish wrapping to the end of the shank. And what I managed to do by leaving my thread back a ways is avoid putting black spots on the body of the fly. All right, now we'll trim off the waist and then wrap back forward to the wing position, and I'll reach over at the materials and get another bundle of this elk backbone here.
14. Okay, I think I've got enough. Confirmed 14s, we'll see.
And
Those
I'm going
back
to
in. And I'm gonna take this 18 I found and
grab
this
the very longest and get rid of everything else.
14 I found.
Put it in the stacker and go from there. Got a couple of longies here that don't want to get with the program. If they don't straighten out, I'll just throw them away. Okay. Well, that wing looks like it's going to be all right. But I've got a few too many fibers and I'll just get rid of a few of them. That looks better. Measure it for length, set it in place.
Just always seems like there's a significant difference between a 14 and a 16. It's like,
16
what?
is the biggest difference in the whole doggone bunch. And I know there's not, percentage wise, there's no different, but it sure seems like it just in
Seems like
perception wise.
What I do first is, well, first thing I'm gonna have to do is rethread my thread. It came unthreaded. How that happened, but
Well, I've got a little bit of this one hair just sticks to my hand and won't let go. And it's not because it's sticky, it's because it's static electricity. So I'm going to fix that.
we do have a humidifier going upstairs, but
Yeah, that helps some. But if I rub my hands over this dryer pad or sheet, this dryer sheet that I have wrapped around the base of the can, I just kind of take some of the static electricity out of my hands. And now I'll wrap my thread back forward to the center of the hook and get some of this softer hair for the
I
hump.
don't seem to be able to get my thread threaded. It seems to be all thumbs.
Right. A little bit too much for the hump on that. Like Gretchen says, it's tough to get the materials just down pat when you go from one size to the next. And there seems to be a huge difference between 14s and 16s, at least for us.
Every time we change to a 16, we seem to comment on it. Okay, first thing I got to do now is get my thread on the hook. So I usually bring it right here from the front and back, and now I'm just going to wrap over right back here behind the wing. Couple of wraps, trim it. Now my task is to take these ends here, if you can see those, and incorporate them in the base of the wing. So I just stuck my scissors in there, got a pretty good division. Whoops. Do some crisscrossing. Yeah, I need a couple more fibers in that.
Put a half hitch on, a backwards half hitch. That's kind of, it creates a knot that's very similar to a clove hitch. And I set that one aside for Gretchen to take over. And I think I'll tie one more before I stop the Beattys at work segment.
You know,
It does get pretty repetitious. I'm sorry, go ahead, Gretchen.
I'm doing crisscrosses between those wings. I like to do the off wing first. So I'm going to tip my vise. It just makes it easier. And I take a hold of it. I'm going to wrap real close to the base. You probably can't see that. But I'm incorporating those butt ends into that. Now, when I need to get more thread, I have to take some wraps around the body so I don't jerk hard on that wing and pull it astray. Astray, I guess is what I want to say, not astray. Okay, I've got the one wing done. Now I'm going to do the wing closest to me. I kind of tip the vise this way. Wrap. There we go. Now I get a couple of hackles. This is a very long hackle. I love it.
Yeah, you'll get to tie a half a dozen or more out of it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just finished putting the tail on this third Humpy and wrap forward now to the winging position.
I'm just clearing off some bare
I'll
skin.
pop over here and get some more of this backbone here from the elk. Cut it off and move back to the vise.
I'm going to tie the two hackles
rid
on
of
at
the
the
weight.
same time.
Grab these longest ones and Pull them out along with the fuzz.
leaving just a little space of bare stem. And I'm going to wrap them one at a time. It seems like if I wrap the two of them together, I get a bare spot back there on that far side. I wrap them one at a time. I seem to have better control about filling that area.
Easier to fill in that vacant spot, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna wrap this is a lovely, lovely, lovely feather. Oh, I like this feather. Whew. In case you don't know me very well, I'm a feather junkie. Totally
Okay, here's a
addicted.
broken tip. I'll get rid of that. Well, there's a couple of them in there. I
I'm gonna take just 2 wraps
pull those out with my tweezers.
over the feather. And then I'm gonna take my hands, make a cup, and pull it back. Now, there's a couple of ways you could do this. I could take half hitch tool and poke it back and wrap over. That works really good. And what I'm doing is pushing this butt end back into the wrapped hackle. Now I can pull it out and trim it back and you'll never see it. This head is a little tight. So instead of trying to use my whip, well, I think I can use my whip finish. Now a good whip finish starts back close to the hackle and you wrap forward to the eye. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to get just a little bit of glue, tip this up. And I tip this up so that that eye is facing up. But you probably can't see it. But I have some glue in the head of that. So I'm going to get my feather out. It's really hard not to get glue in these tiny ones. So I just run my feather through there and clean it out.
What I do with this, you don't have to worry about layers 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the hair that goes into the hump because it just all gets flared and then pulled under control. But so that's why I'm just not really worrying too much about which ones I've got, just as long as I get rid of the fuzz. I don't want the fuzz to be in the hump.
Is this deer in the wing?
No, it's elk. It's elk
I thought it's
backbone
really,
here.
it's really light colored, I guess.
Yeah, it's not backbone hair enough of a deer. That's a lot darker. The elk has the same properties as the deer, but it doesn't have the same color in the backbone hair.
That should make it more difficult to select hair when you're.
Well, actually, as much as anything, I go by feel. And but it's really tough in a Zoom call to teach people how to select hair by feeling it when it's easier to teach them to select hair by visually because that's the only option you have when you're on a Zoom call. And we'll set that aside. And for now, folks, that'll be it for today. We'll wrap up another Beattys at work. Just let you know, even on New Year's Day, we'll sit down and tie a few flies, and the phone isn't exactly ringing its way off hook. Probably everybody's having a good time last night and they're sleeping in today. Gives us a little bit of time this morning to take care of everything. But anyway, have a good year. Take care now.